Hello, my name is Brock Davis, and this is my book report on Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendrix, doctor, and Dr. Helen LaKelly Hunt. So these two doctors are actually married. They both had first marriages, they both were divorced, and then they ended up finding each other, and they're both relationship therapists and psychologists that get into, technically, getting the love you want. And so one of their biggest bases is that they believe that childhood wounds is what we lose and we search for in relationships. They think that whatever we were missing out of our childhood, we tried to get or find in a relationship with our partner. And so if we never had physical touch, then we search for someone in a relationship that will give us the physical touch, give us hugs and kisses and just touch in general. You know, that oxytocin release that we never released when we were children because we weren't ever really nurtured like that. And nurtured is a good one as well. If you were a child and were never nurtured, that's what you're going to be searching for in a partner. And when you receive the nurturing, it's going to be like it's the first time ever getting it. So that's kind of what they explain, is that we search for things that we never had or injuries that we received during childhood and childhood wounds. Another big thing that they talk about is listening to your partner. And when I say listen, it's like really actually listening to your partner instead of just thinking about the next thing you want to say. They get into why that's so important in a relationship and how it could actually heal a lot of arguments and discontent within the relationship itself. The big thing that they look into is criticism in relationships. For example, if I were to criticize my partner because she was too kind sometimes in situations where I feel like she's getting taken advantage of, I would say, you're being too nice. However, this book kind of explains that it's possible that you criticize things in your partner that you kind of wish that you had. So for example, me, myself, there's times where I should be more kind and I'm not. So it's easier for me to criticize my partner on being too kind because that's something that I lack myself. Or me being overconfident, if my partner criticized me for, saying that I was too confident or cocky or arrogant even, then it could possibly be because she's insecure or he or she is insecure about not being confident enough. So that's just another example of something like that. Back to the things that we may or may not be missing out on as a child, something that they talk about is the push or pull theory. So essentially, if your parents raised you in a way where you were smothered and you felt like you couldn't, ever be by yourself, or you just felt like your parents were overbearing, then you're going to always want to break out and be on your own. And if your parents never smothered you and kind of just let you always do your own thing, then you're going to be craving the nurturing, the type of, kind of an anxiety of wanting to be attached to somebody because you never got that. As it really gets into the subconscious of things, how you can say them and how they can be interpreted, and certain things of the subconscious that we search for in a mate, being the things we missed out on or we had too much of growing up, being kind of one of those things that we subconsciously look for in a partner that we don't even think about. That, that's where the subconscious comes from. They also talk about the fact that you really want to become passionate friends, and you really want to be friends with your partner, not just lovers, I guess you can say, but you really want to enjoy each other's company and learn how to solve problems with each other instead of, always being at each other's throats, and resolving conflict a little bit easier in that fashion. Of the assessment of whether I think it's valuable to a relationship. I definitely think it can be. I think that in a way, you kind of have to take everything with a grain of salt from this book, just because it seems like if you weren't necessarily neglected as a child, and I wasn't, and neither was my partner, we both of our parents are still happily married, and I think that there's very little areas in both of our lives that we felt were injuries of our childhood or lack thereof. And so I think that if for like a a basic couple that both have married parents, seems to have a happy childhood. I think that there's a good amount of this book that might not necessarily apply to you. However, this does dig really deep into communication and listening skills and some exercises to help you build and grow and listen and be able to communicate a little bit better with your partner even without the neglect growing up. So when me and my fiance read this book together, we read it together, and there was definitely some things where we're like, oh, well, that chapter or those few pages might not necessarily apply to us. However, this part I liked, and hey, maybe we should work on this together because this is something that affects us on the day to day. Or hey, did you feel that way? No, I didn't, but I think you might have, and so on. So I definitely recommend this book just in general for a couple to read it together. I think that is also a good growing exercise to read books together. Me and my fiance have read books together before, but we've actually never read like a relationship book before, which is kind of why I wanted to do this project with a relationship book with her and I, because I thought that maybe we could have taken some of this and took it to heart and maybe help build each other and be able to communicate a little bit better, because I think every couple pretty much on the planet deals with communication problems. So that's kind of a wrap on my book report. I definitely recommend this book if you're in a relationship or maybe seeking to be in one sometime soon. And we'll have a little bit of good advice from a married doctor couple that have gone through and kind of tested these things on their own and with their clients. So this is Getting the Love You Want by Harville, Hendrix, and Helen LaKelly Hunt. Thank you for watching.